Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Let's kick things off with a story about how a hard-working employee and an understanding manager stood their ground against a micromanaging boss. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Boss tries to micromanage my best employee, ends up apologizing after my tactical compliance. I have an employee who really goes above and beyond. He works incredibly hard, always surpassing the goals I set for him, and he's breaking records for the value he's bringing to the company. His work ethic is outstanding. He almost never takes a break, and I have to remind him multiple times a week that he needs to clock off for lunch. He always does it reluctantly, but he does it. A few weeks ago, one of my bosses came downstairs and caught him checking Twitter. He got into trouble. His job was threatened, and then I was called upstairs to endure 20 minutes of being yelled at. I was told that I needed to crack the whip and make sure we were getting the level of work we were paying him for. I took this personally. This is my best employee, and if my boss had approached me first, I would have explained why I don't micromanage him. This kind of thing's just not my style. So I went back downstairs and had a quick word with him. I told him that if anyone ever came down while he was on social media, Reddit, or anything else that wasn't work-related and they asked, "Is this work-related?" he should respond with, "No, I'm on my 10-minute break," and then immediately stop working for the next 9 minutes. Even if he wasn't on his phone, he should take a 10-minute break whenever my boss walked in. We're legally entitled to 2 10-minute breaks during a shift, and the company allows us to take them whenever we want. Instead of him sneaking in a minute here and there to check his phone, he started taking 2 full paid breaks. Didn't take long for my boss to figure out what was going on. To his credit, he called us both upstairs to apologize for trying to micromanage without understanding that everyone has different working styles. He reassured my employee that his job was secure and promised me that as long as we kept performing at the level we had been, I'd remain in charge of my team. Edit. To clear something up, this wasn't a fairy tale where the boss turns out to be the hero in the end. Yes, I appreciated that he apologized and pulled back, but he's not a great boss. He's not terrible, but no one particularly enjoys working with him. The company has recently expanded enough to hire a CFO, and this incident is just one of many signs that he's gradually turning the work environment into something toxic. I'm actively looking for a new job. I love how you turned an infuriating micromanagement moment into a mini masterclass in workplace rebellion. You took a bad situation and used it to teach your boss a lesson on respecting individual work styles, all while protecting your star employee. Giving your worker full use of those legally entitled breaks was a brilliant touch of malicious compliance. Your boss's apology's nice, but let's not give too much credit. Sounds like damage control rather than a genuine transformation. You clearly have a knack for leadership that values results over rigid rules. I hope your next job appreciates that more. And our second story. Post-order company keeps harassing us over a returned item, so I fax them an endless loop until they finally listened. So the 90s, cultural high point of good dance music and the fax machine. In those days, our national mail/telco operator here in the Netherlands decided to introduce fax machines for at-home that were relatively cheap. Aptly called home fax, they used rolls of thermal paper for printing faxes. For sending faxes, you had to feed paper in page by page, no auto-feed. This becomes relevant later. So my then-girlfriend ordered a summer dress via post order. Mind you, online shopping wasn't a thing yet. You ordered from a catalog and called or mailed in your order. So a few days after her order, the postman brings the parcel inside, not a summer dress, but a pair of enormous white granny underpants. Well, we had a good laugh, put it back in the parcel, and went to the post office to return it to the post-order company. That's that, one would think, but nope. After a few weeks, the first letter comes in demanding payment for the dress my girlfriend ordered. Simple mistake, I thought, so I called the post-order company, explained what happened, and the lady said she'd take care of it. A week later, another letter arrived with a more sternly worded style urging us to pay within 3 days or else. So I called the post-order company, explained another person what happened. That person also said they'd take care of it. They also asked for proof I didn't get the dress. What? But, well, I had the receipt from sending them the damn undies back, so sent them that. You see where this is going. 4 days later, a pissed letter telling us to pay within 72 hours or else they'd send it to collections. So I called the post order company again, explained to another person what happened. That person also said they'd take care of it. But I'd lost my confidence and called them again the next day, and of course yet another person told me that no, the conflict wasn't resolved yet, but they'd make a note of my call. Right. The next day, same exact story, but again with the remark I didn't prove I hadn't received the dress. I got a bit agitated and asked them how in the hell one's supposed to prove not having a thing. So here's where the petty revenge comes in. I write and print a letter asking how many times do I have to say we didn't receive the dress before you'll take us serious. Then I fed that letter halfway through the fax and taped the bottom and top of the page together, so now there was an endless roll of text in my fax. I dialed the fax number of the post order company and hit send. After about half an hour, their fax disconnects. About 10 minutes after that, I receive a phone call from an absolutely infuriated manager of the company asking me what the hell I'm doing. I asked him what the hell they were doing and explained the situation. It was resolved the same day. This story is a perfect blend of 90s nostalgia and creative problem solving. You've got a harmless mistake, granny undies instead of a summer dress, turned into a maddening customer service nightmare. 4 calls, endless excuses, and the absurd demand to prove the dress wasn't received? Talk about testing patience. But the fax revenge? Priceless. A never-ending loop of take me seriously sent right to their machine? Pure brilliance. The furious manager's call shows just how well it worked. Instant resolution after weeks of stonewalling. Honestly, I'm just sad I wasn't there to see that fax machine eat its own tail. And our last story. New neighbors treat my yard as their own. My previous neighbor, an elderly lady, moved out about a year ago. She was a gem of a person who respected my privacy and was a joy to help out when she needed it. She loved gardening, and since her yard was quite small, I'd always let her use a part of mine. It worked perfectly, as my yard's quite large and I didn't mind sharing a bit of space with someone so considerate. Then, 2 months ago, the new neighbors arrived, a couple in their early 50s. Things got weird right away. The husband, let's call him Bob, knocked on my door as soon as they moved in. After introducing himself, he declared, "You're the nice neighbor everyone's told me about." A bit odd, but I brushed it off as friendly enthusiasm. What I didn't realize was that Bob had already decided we were best friends for life. Bob started waiting for me to get home from work just to trap me in hour-long conversations about absolutely nothing. It didn't stop there. Soon he began monopolizing my driveway with his 2 massive trucks and a fishing boat. At first, I didn't mind sharing the driveway, but this was getting ridiculous. When I asked him to stop hogging the space, he grudgingly moved the boat straight into my yard. Things escalated quickly after that. I host occasional weekend barbecues with friends, and suddenly Bob and his wife, let's call her Karen, started inviting themselves over unprompted. They'd show up, eat my food, drink my beer, and leave without so much as a thank you. It was getting unbearable. One evening, I came home to find Bob and his teenage son cutting down 2 large trees. These weren't just any trees, they were on my property, but Bob claimed they were in his yard. That was it for me. I stormed over and confronted him. "Bob, what the hell are you doing?" I shouted, pointing at the half-felled tree. "Relax, bud," Bob replied, grinning. "These trees are practically on our property. We needed the space for the boat." I lost it. "Get the hell off my yard and move all your crap off my property or I'll have it towed first thing tomorrow morning." Bob's grin vanished, and his wife, Karen, stepped out to join the fray, her lawyer persona on full display. "Oh, excuse me," Karen sneered. "This isn't just your property anymore. We're practically family now. What's yours is ours." "No, Karen, what's mine is mine. Get off my land." Karen's tone turned icy. "You want to fight? I'm a lawyer. I'll have you buried in lawsuits before you even know what hit you." "Go ahead," I snapped. "You're trespassing and I've got the property lines to prove it." Karen crossed her arms and smirked. Enjoy losing in court. You'll be sorry. I wasn't going to wait around for Karen's empty threats to play out. The very next day, I bought a load of building supplies, called some friends, and we got to work. By the end of the weekend, there was a brand new fence right on the property line, enclosing my yard and leaving Bob and Karen's yard the tiny postage stamp it actually was. Bob wasn't home during construction, but when he saw the fence the next day, he was livid. He stormed over, fists clenched, shouting, "You stole my land! You got no right to put up this fence." "Bob, this is my property. I gave you plenty of warnings. You didn't listen, so now you're fenced out. Deal with it." Karen joined in, yelling from their porch, "This is harassment! I'll sue you for everything you've got." "Go ahead, Karen," I said, pulling out the survey papers and holding them up. "See these? They prove that everything inside this fence is mine. Good luck explaining your case in court." Apparently, the new fence has caused them more problems than they anticipated. With no space to park both trucks in the boat, they've had to sell the boat and one of the trucks. Bob's been fuming ever since, telling anyone who'll listen that I'm the biggest jerk in the neighborhood. Karen, predictably, is still throwing around threats of legal action, but nothing's come of it. Some neighbors think I was too harsh and should have let Bob at least use the driveway. But you know what? I was kind and accommodating from the start. They abused my generosity and disrespected my property. I don't owe them anything. The fence stays, and Bob and Karen can enjoy their tiny yard because this is my property, and they're going to have to deal with it. Bob and Karen were entitlement masters. First they invade your driveway, then they take over your yard and cut down your trees like it's theirs. The arrogance is astounding. Karen's lawyer threats were the cherry on top, classic bully behavior without substance. Well-deserved power move to build the fence. They wasted plenty of opportunity to respect your space. The fence seems like a long overdue border, physically and figuratively. The neighbors may not have experienced this duo's antics, so they may think you were overly harsh. Let them run wild would have made things worse. Congratulations on staying firm and showing Bob and Karen that respect is required. Hopefully they'll think twice before doing this again, but they probably won't. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.